everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm telling you about the 22 books I would like to read in 2022. So I made a video like this last year, the 21 books I wanted to read in 2021, and yesterday I reacted to how many I actually completed. I won't spoil it or anything like that, but go watch that one if you haven't already. I did better than I thought, but that is all I will say about that. So today I have the 22 books I would like to read in 2022, and knowing how I was probably going to do in the 21 books video, I made this list before I watched that video and filmed my reaction, but I decided to make this a little bit easier for myself. So I will explain this as I go, but these are in no particular order. I just wrote them down as I was like, you know what, I do think I need to read that sort of thing, and we're gonna jump into it. But I'll explain how I made it slightly easier for myself as we get there. So the first book that I wrote down is not making it easier for myself, but it is also a book that was technically on the list last year, that I knew was on the list, that I knew I didn't get to, and I definitely think I still need to do it. So I have The Stand here by Stephen King. This is a gorgeous edition. I talked about it a lot in last year's video, how I haven't read Stephen King in years, and I still haven't read Stephen King in years because I didn't read any this year, and how this is one of those ones that is one of his like absolute biggest, but I've read it multiple times, which is also quite large. But it's also, I think, one of the most well-known. People really seem to like it, and I haven't read Stephen King in a while, and for whatever reason, this is the one that I picked last year. I did not read it this year, but I ended up picking it again. This is The Stand. I don't actually know what it's about, except for we do have like a test tube there, and I think if we go into the end papers, they're like hazard signs, so it is something with a virus, I'm pretty sure. I don't actually know. The second one I actually did talk about in the 10 books I wish I would have read this year, and it is Fantasy of Frost by Kelly St. Clair. This was a gift from Lana from Lore and Lullabies. She gifted it to me around the time of the Indie Accords because this is an indie / self-published book. It is a fantasy romance. I don't actually know new adult or anything like that, but Lana and I have buddy read some fantasy romance. We definitely seem to have the same type of tastes for that genre, and this is one of her favorite series. The first book in the series, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Not very long either, well, especially when we compare it to The Stand, but it is something that I definitely want to read. I don't know much about it except for it is going to have fantasy, I think some magic in here, and then potentially romance. The next book I would actually like to read is an ebook, and it's going to be From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. Mariana Zapata is an author that I absolutely love. She's like the queen of slow burn romance. But again, I don't think I've read anything from her this year. I think I did read some in 2020, but not in 2021. And this is one that I think is not the most recent out, definitely not the most recent out, but one of the more recent ones that I have not read yet. Like, I think I read the book right before this one. And a lot of her books are sports romances. This is going to be ice skating, but they're also a little bit interconnected with the family. So I think this follows a cousin or a sister of one of the previous heroines from a book. So yeah, I definitely just want to read this. I want to read a lot more Mariana Zapata because everything that I have read has been 4 or 5 stars. I just absolutely love it, but I haven't read any in a while, so From Lukov with Love. The next one I want to read, I think, was also on this list last year. It's The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. This is one of those books that I just keep putting off. Not like consciously, but it is definitely something that I put off. I absolutely loved The Poppy War. I did like The Dragon Republic, although I think I gave it like 4.5, and I think it's more like a 4-star. It is good, it's just not my favorite. And then we have this one. The Dragon Republic did end on a cliffhanger, and I should have wanted to read this like right away when it came out at the end of 2020, but it didn't happen, and I think it's because people said that this was absolutely like devastating. Like, it was just one of those books that is going to break you, and I think I'm a little scared. So, yeah, I didn't read it in 2021. I'm hopefully going to read it in 2022. The next 2 books sort of go together, and this is where I'm slightly making it easier for myself, is putting books from series on this list. So the ones that I have here currently are Take a Hint, Dani Brown, and Get a Life, Eve Brown. I read Chloe Brown last year in 2020. Really, really loved it and ended up getting the entire trilogy in these Illumicrate editions. They're just absolutely gorgeous, but I have not read either of these two yet. They are both romances, and this is a romance series of companion novels because each one follows a different brown sister. And yeah, I don't actually know much about these. Like, I think this has something to do with like a B&B. I actually don't know, but I love the first one so much. I need to read these, and they're gorgeous. So yeah, now we're really getting into cheating. It's not cheating. It's not cheating. It's my list. This is the stuff I want to read, but this right here is going to make it easier for me because I have an entire series that I want to, first of all, reread and then finish because I never finished these books. So I have book number 1, Trying to Live with the Dead by B. L. Brunimer. Book 2, When the Dead Come A-Knockin'. Book 3, When to Fear the Living. Book 4, Whispers from the Dead. Book 5, When Evil Comes to Play. Book 6, Secrets from the Grave. And then the rest are going to be on ebook. Book 7, When the Dead Have It Easy. Book 8, When the Dead Come Home. And book 9, When the Grave Calls. So now, I think I've actually read up through book 7. So the last two, book 8 and book 9, are the only two that I have not actually read at all yet. I think book 8 came out, and then I knew book 9 was going to be the last one, and I was just sort of waiting to read those. Now, I have reread at least the first book in this series like 7 times. So much so that I got to the point where I didn't really need to reread them because I had read them so often, sometimes multiple times in a year. I absolutely love this series, but it's been a while, and I do think because I'm going to finish the series out, I want to reread all of them. So 9 books on this list of 22 are from one series. Yes, again, it could be cheating, but it's my list. It's not cheating. But this is a series that starts off as a YA, very slow burn, reverse harem paranormal romance. It then eventually becomes new adult, starting I think in book 7. It also becomes very much more paranormal. So like at the beginning of the book, we follow our main character of Lexi, who can see ghosts. And she is new in school, moved in with her uncle recently, and she starts to befriend some of the boys there. And we definitely start off book 1 and 2, I believe, with friendship stuff, not necessarily romance stuff. Then we do eventually, like I said, because it is very slow burn, get into romance. It is reverse harem romance, which means one girl, multiple guys. Just stay with me here. And then it does become new adult as they become like 18, getting ready for college, that kind of stuff. And like I said, the most paranormal about the first few books is the fact that she can see ghosts, and a lot of stuff has to do with ghosts. So there are some parts that are a little bit more scary as well. I don't want to say this is horror at all, because it's not, but a little bit more. And then we get other paranormal stuff happening. I don't know how it ends because I never read the last 2 books, but this is self-published indie paranormal romance. And because it is self-published, this was this author's very first book. And I do want to say some of the sentence structure and that kind of stuff in books 1 and 2 especially are not the best. However, I absolutely love the story and the characters, so I still give these like 5 stars every single time, even though I know objectively not the best written. Definitely changes as we get into the series. I just wanted to say that now. I'll review them next year when I read them all, because I'm definitely going to read them all. Maybe I will do a reading vlog. Let me know if that's something that you would like, but I absolutely love the series. I've read, like I said, the first book at least 7 times, maybe more. And I haven't read any books in this series for a couple years now, I think. And so it's definitely something that I wanted to do. I want to reread the books I have read and move into books 8 and 9. Okay, then the next one I have here is Daughter with Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Yes, I have never read this series. I absolutely love this cover though, and so this is like, as soon as I saw this, I was like, I need it. And this was actually a present from Kristen from Red Red Wine, and I have not read it yet. I think partly it's because it is YA and I have not been reading YA as much recently. However, I'm still very, very intrigued by it. But again, it's also a trilogy, and I only own the first book. I've been trying to do a book buying ban. This year was not the best. I will be trying to do another book buying ban next year, but I want to read this. I wanted to read it ever since they first came out, but I never got there just because I have so many books to read. But this cover, like, These covers, absolutely gorgeous. I need to read it. Then I also have, don't hate me for this, but The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I have not read this, mostly because it is a YA contemporary and it's going to be hard-hitting. I wanted to read this when it first came out. Like, this book I think I've had for so long. Yeah, this is a first edition. I've had this book for so long, and yet I'm a little scared of it. I'm a little bit intimidated just because it is a hard-hitting book. I have read some, especially YA contemporary hard-hitting stuff in the last year or two, and I have liked them, but this one scares me just because of how much I know is going to be impactful, because of how much it has impacted other people. I need to suck it up and read it because I feel guilty that I have not read it just because everybody seems to love this book. The next one is another ebook. This is going to be Cute Mutants Volume 1 Mutant Pride by S.J. Whitby. This is one that I talked about sometime in a video this year because I absolutely love the cover. Like, look at this. I've talked about it a couple times, but I need to read it. This is going to be a like cast of queer characters who are sort of like the X-Men. We have lots of like powers and stuff. I don't know exactly what everything is going to be, but I have heard nothing but good things about this. And again, the cover draws me in every single time, and I need to read it. I have an ebook, I need to read it. Then we're gonna be cheating again for a second, because I have this, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or I should say The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I read the first 2 books of this because it is a collection of 5. I read the first 2 books of this last year. So I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Now, I was meaning to pick this up sometime this year and read the 3rd book, Life, the Universe, and Everything, and I didn't. So, for 2022, I have Life, the Universe, and Everything. I also want to read So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, and Mostly Harmless. So the last 3 books of this 5-book series, because I read the first 2 previously. I actually also have a different copy of this that is a nice Barnes & Noble leather-bound classic edition on my shelves. So once I'm done reading this, I will probably get rid of this one because it is nice and floppy and everything, but the other one's prettier. And so once I'm done reading it, I'll keep that one and probably unhaul this one. But I need to finish the last 3 books first. And then finally, last but not least, I have You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. So this one I believe was also a gift from Michelle Reads YA, and this is one that she absolutely loved. I think she also sent me Slay, which I absolutely love this year, so I definitely trust her taste in books. And yeah, this one is going to be a like happy, uplifting YA contemporary. I do know it is going to be sapphic, and I think it's because she wants to run for prom queen as well. I don't know anything else about it, but I love the cover and I just need to read it. It's going to be a short, quick, happy read. I need to put it on this list to make me read it. And so those are all 22 books that I would like to read in 2022. Overall, not too bad, especially like I said, because I was trying to make it a little easier on myself and actually picking series as well. So we have like the last books in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, we have the last 2 Brown Sisters books, and then we have an entire series by B.L. Brunnemer called The Veil Diaries. I don't think I mentioned the title of the series, but those will definitely help keep this down to a manageable number, because one of the things that I definitely know I did last year when I said 21 books that I want to read in 2021 was there was a couple times where I picked books that I needed to read because I had never read them before, but they were like the 4th book in a series that I hadn't read the first 3 in years, and so I would need to reread those first 3 in order to read the last one. And because I wasn't like counting that into the books I wanted to read, it made it feel very intimidating to actually then be like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and read this one book that I need to read, but I also have to do 3 other books with it. Whereas if I do this, especially with like the Veil Diaries books, I can sit down and say I'm going to reread these other books because it's on my list, and it won't make me feel as bad rereading all of those to get to books 8 and 9. I don't know, it just felt better. It's giving me an excuse to reread those without making it feel like I'm wasting books because I could have been reading more off this list. They're on this list, so we're good. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I am currently doing the 12 Days of Bookmas, so I will have a new video up tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye!